What's up folks, my name is Sir Medieval and it has been a big couple of weeks for Chronicles of Elyria. All that's been going on with domain and settlement selection, the pre-alpha footage, and the general news post plus the Kickstarterversary has led to the community of the game being kept very busy. We've got a bit to cover for this video, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Starting it off with the domain selection, the majority of the counts have picked their domains and the map has begun to fill up. Right now the mayors and barons are conducting their picks to choose the actual settlements, and after all of us are done within a few weeks at that point, the land auction will start taking place. The land auction will essentially allow you to purchase land that hasn't already been claimed, provided you meet the proper requirements. This is something we'll want to wait before jumping into, just to make sure we pull the information from the announcement. But currently you're able to get a good look at the domain map to see which counties and duchies have been picked. It seems to be progressing very well, although there are players being met with issues here and there. A few players have been reporting that either through the forums or through other sources, they are experiencing issues with their packages or domain selection in general. Soulbound Studios is aware of these underlying issues and has responded to them for further support and will be assisting with tickets submitted. Be sure to keep in mind as well that if you happen to be a mayor or baron and are getting ready to pick your settlement, that you read up on the forum posts related to their professions and descriptions of each. You might end up seeing professions that work better for you in other settlements than your original choice. One other thing to mention that's probably been reiterated on the forums a few times is that if you're not affiliated with any kingdom and plan on placing inside of just about any of these kingdoms, duchies, or counties, that you may want to get in contact with said group first. If things work out for Chronicles, it'll probably start to pick up some traction, which means there could potentially be a good amount of more people coming into the game either during land auction to buy the remaining lands or as citizens and minor landowners as we get closer and closer to the Kingdoms of Elyria phase. One thing to note about the game is that it's already extremely community driven, even with no testing phases available to the majority public yet. And the way the game is built, it's only going to grow more and more on that aspect, which means that if you're dealing with any kind of territory that you're trying to earn or claim, you'll need to be careful. But other than that, hopefully we'll have a chance to try the game in alpha state by next year. Continuing on the topics, we've also got some recent footage for Chronicles of Elyria in the form of their pre-alpha gameplay. It's of course important to state that Soulbound Studios has stated that this is by no means their final product, it's just something that they want to use for testing purposes instead of their previous options before they went through design changes. If you recall, back about a year or so ago, their original plan was to send us into Elyria Mud, which would have essentially been a top-down version of Minecraft that they would have used to build upon certain functions of the game such as the UI. A little while ago they announced that they would instead be using the Unreal 4 client called Pre-Elyria to do the same thing and more. But in the end they planned on using this client to expand towards their higher fidelity client that they are planning to get. And on this left side here, this is basically the stepping stones, and on the right side, this is the end game. I wanted to touch on that because I know the gameplay might have been met with some backlash, but ultimately the community asked for it, and I would have too. Just to be able to have anything to base theories and excitement off of is much better than just years of news blog posts right up until a game's release like some developers do. In the footage, we do get a look at the character creator, which we do have both male and female characters for in the pre-alpha version, alongside with a handful of hairstyles and facial hair choices. After that, it then cuts to a character walking through the forest towards town to speak with the guard. We see a little bit of the reputation gain as he decides to hand over the medicine shipment for the contracted quest. But as mentioned before, this version is a very baseline build. It won't have things like the land management features or a full government system. We probably won't get a 100% playable version until we get to the point of Alpha 2, so be sure to take what you see here with a grain of salt. After that, it seems we get to look at the NPC interaction system, and it looks like they give you actual compass-based direction for quests, which would be really interesting to see evolve as the game grows between testing phases. Since the game itself has such a big map, you might even encounter quests that you might want to travel a few kilometers or more for, but don't worry because there will always be different methods of travel if things work out. Further on in the footage, we also get to see the character equipping his weapon, followed by some swimming through the night on the way to a bandit camp. The final thing we see is a bit of combat in the pre-alpha version, but at this part we do start to see the frames begin to drop for the game. During the fight, we're able to see some of the new animations they've created, and it also seems like they get a few hits in during the engagement. And the bandits seem to be neutral with the player until attacked, it seems. But that's pretty much it for the footage so far. It gives us a decent showcase of where the pre-alpha is at, although seeing this will also just make all of us hungry for more, especially for some more gameplay during the daytime in this game, and even during dynamic weather if possible. I'm hoping specifically for some more rain and fog, but enough about that so far. Continuing on, we finally got a shiny little news post about none other than the Harathi. For those of you that don't know about them, they're basically the dwarves of Chronicles, and ones that lore-wise prefer not to grow beards, which of course is going to be one of the first things that we change when we get in game. No worries at all there, but in this post they go over the Harathi architecture, and a lot of the player base has been dying to see something like this, myself included. Now the first picture consists of some art for the Harathi and their surface settlement, and what they say about them in their post is that not all Harathi settlements are the same. They take local terrain above and below ground into account, and typically what you see on the surface is only the tip of the iceberg. This next screenshot showcases a bit of their interior settlement, and the Harathi have always taken advantage of what they can find as they dig around. If a hill turns out to be a natural cavern, or if the terrain is shot through with crystal that could potentially be used for lighting, they'll incorporate what they find into their settlement planning. In this one you can also see a bit of experimentation with crystals being used as light pipes to help shine rays inside for visibility. It was also said that Harathi excel at seeing in the dark, so that'll be an interesting concept to play around with when we're finally able to. The last thing we'll want to jump into is the Kickstarterversary, a yearly event for the merchandise store where they design items we can purchase to have when we get in game. These range from all sorts of different items like armor sets, workshops, pets and mounts with exclusive access that will be unique only to those that purchase them when they are implemented. This one will be running for a few weeks, and for the first week we've also got a couple interesting items to choose from. We've got the ancient tapestry that serves as a wall-size mount of our server as it exists when the Settlers event ends. A forest farming event that allows us to purchase seeds for planting. The choices for those as well are blackberries, green onions, raspberries, and strawberries. We've also got a bit of tropical summer wear for those hot summer days. 2 turtle doves for all of your decorative and pet-based enjoyment. Battle cat mounts. Even the arena itself is making a debut, and this one you'll be able to place in your settlement given that you have enough land. And lastly, we've got a cottage for 2. Starts you off with the Stuo home and also throws in a complete bloodline package to finish it off. Keep an eye on their website because they'll be updating the Kickstarterversary as time goes on, and there's even goals to be met that will give us extended rewards depending on how many people buy the merchandise. And that, folks, is all for now. Thank you all so much for joining me, and be sure to shield smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you for the next one. Farewell.